Hello, welcome to another instalment of Monday Brews and Views. So it's a quick disclaimer that I am not a doctor. I am mental health first aid trained, and but a lot of the stuff that I talk about is from my own experience, but it shouldn't be used for a substitute for professional help. But that being said, I do hope the stuff that I talk about you will find helpful in some way or another. And I do think a lot of people do get a lot of help out of these things, and because regularly people always different people come up to me and telling me that, I really enjoy your videos. You're quite one person said to me, "Oh, you're quite good on there, aren't you? You speak very well." To that as a compliment. But the reason I do this, and I keep saying this all the time, is the reason I do this is because it helps me. Because I struggle with things from time to time, but also I think the level of understanding really helps me to help myself, helps me to process and stuff better. And because the more you know yourself, the more you understand a problem, it makes it so much easier to fix, or at least attempt to. And also, those people around you, if you can understand something, you can spot the signs quickly, you can help them. So like I said, these videos are for everyone, and hopefully it'll help bring discussion about, whether it's with your friends or family members or whatever. But I'm going to come back to doing this live on Facebook, because I feel like I hit a few more people there. I do have a YouTube channel. This video will be uploaded onto the YouTube channel. There's a couple of other videos on there as well, so go and check that out. I'll put the link up on this video description, so go and check that out, subscribe, whatever. But generally this is just a here to help message. Each week I'll be coming at you with different disorders, if you will. I don't even class them as disorders, but different types of mental health issues. I think the way I would look at a disorder is something a little bit more severe, something that almost definitely needs medication, almost definitely needs therapy, and almost definitely you need some potentially even evasive action. Mental health is, and some people might disagree with me here, but mental health is a thinking problem. Yeah, it's a problem with the way you think. So today we're going to talk about anxiety, which is possibly one of the most thinking type problems that people have. Now, depression and anxiety are the most common mental health, and most people, if not everybody, has encountered that in some shape or form, whether it be for long term, short term, whether it be severe, mild, or chronic, or just low. But at some point in time, I'm pretty sure everybody's experienced it. Now, anxiety is a normal bodily response to the way we experience feelings. However, some people find it hard to control the worries. So when you're just worried about something, that is anxiety. It's normal, right? But the problem is when people can't control that, and it takes over their mindset, takes over the life, takes over the sleep, takes over just the day to day. They can't have rest from it, and obviously anxiety tends to be one of the symptoms of other problems like panic disorder, phobias, PTSD, and obviously other types of stress related disorders. So we have generalized anxiety, when a person will struggle with raised anxiety and worry on a daily basis, and can be mild to severe. So that can, that can be, so again, it just affects people's lives just by simply thinking. The panic disorders. I'm going to go through these. These are on the list, but because you may have anxiety, or you may know someone with anxiety, but just to label it as anxiety might not necessarily do it justice. There might actually be an underlying issue there, and if you knew, I'm just trying to educate myself and educate others. If you knew someone said, "Oh, I've got panic disorder," would you know what that meant? Would you feel confident to ask them, "Oh, what does that mean?" But I can help you with that. So your panic disorder is an anxiety disorder where you regularly have sudden attacks of panic or fear for someone. With panic disorder, feelings of anxiety, stress and panic occur regularly at any time for no apparent reason. Imagine having that. That is, you could just be walking down the street and all of a sudden you just feel like the world is going to collapse on you or something like that. And that must be awful. It must be an awful feeling, that to after experience that, not knowing that. And I guess that's why some people will simply turn into sort of hermits and they won't go out, because potentially how they react to that might not necessarily, they might not want to they get worried about how they're going to look about when they have a worrying attack. Acute stress disorder, and this can develop shortly after a traumatic experience, causing significant anxiety. Flashback symptoms subside after 3 or 4 weeks. So, off that description there, you can imagine the sorts of things that we're talking about. Maybe you might have seen someone die. You might have been in a very traumatic accident. So acute stress disorder. But again, that with flashbacks, things like CBT and medication, therapy, all that sort of stuff will help with that. And somebody who has that, if you know someone who has been in a serious traumatic experience, try and get them to some help, try and get them to take some help, try and get them some therapy or whatever, some professional help, get them on the phone to somebody. And then you've got your PTSD, and this tends to be associated with soldiers, I find, but it can be lots of other people, different reasons. I work in care, as well as being a PT and a boxing coach, but some of the kids that I'll come across will potentially have that as well, due to the traumatic child experience, or ACEs as they call it, acute child experience disorder. Experiences. So and they similar to the acute, but tend to last a little bit longer and can affect a person's day to day. And again, these things, from what I know of from some people that I know have this, medication tends to help that so much. Once you find the right balance of medication, those problems, they don't go away. They just become a bit more easy to deal with. And a lot of people don't, especially men, we want to stay away from medication because it gets a bit of a stigma attached to it, but there's nothing wrong with that. If you need help and the doctor prescribes you medication and it alleviates your problems, why wouldn't you want to relieve that? Why wouldn't you want that? If it's going to, obviously then you have a review after a few days or a few weeks or whatever it takes. But if something's happened to you, that's brought this on, then you should be doing everything that you can do to try and find peace in your life. and I hope you do. And then we have phobias. Sometimes, we tend to laugh, don't we, when someone mentions, "Oh, I'm scared of this and I'm scared of that." But for that person, it's genuine fear. Like, I'm a little bit scared of moths. And if one was to sort of fly in this room, I probably would be a bit scared. But I wouldn't worry too much. I'm saying that, but you should see my reaction to that. You might think otherwise. And everyone has got general scared of spiders and other things. I mean, I'm quite scared of heights. There's other things that I don't like heights. But there's reasons behind those things, because heights, if you fell off a height, you can die. If a spider bites you, you could die. I mean, I know we don't have a lot of spiders here in sunny England, but there are, there's still dangerous things out there. And again, you could say they're quite reasonable, but then other people might have fear of, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some interesting fears that I've come across people that I might have. I mean, this is one that I have actually. It's called, tricholophobia, and that is the fear of certain shapes. If I look at, I'm just being honest with you, if I look at like a certain shape, almost like a honeycomb type shape, it makes me feel sick. And that's a phobia. And I don't know where that's coming from, but that will make me feel unwell, and I'll have to turn away from it. I can't look at it. And I've seen several types of pictures of it, and it's really disturbing. And I have no idea what that is. Maybe it represents, I don't know, open wounds or something like that. I don't know what it is. But I tend to avoid looking at those sort of things. And if I know something is got that, I will not look at it. But those, like I said, those things, people have those fears. Some of them are mild, some of them are manageable, some of them can be potentially crippling. People will struggle with those. So again, if you know someone's got a fear of something, don't try potentially to expose them to it unless you've got a good understanding of how phobias work, and try thinking you're helping, because you can potentially make that worse. So be careful with that one. So again, some sort of signs and symptoms of anxiety, so that you may, this is for you, and potentially if you spot someone around acting in this sort of way. And again, these could come across in many different ways, but when you start adding them all up, if you were on the sort of back end of maybe something that someone said, you might then realise, they're having an episode, or they're not well. So feeling tense and unable to relax. So there's people maybe pacing around and going back and forth, and they're fidgeting all the time and things like that. And a sense of dread, constantly on edge for no particular reason at all. So that, again, that's a big one that stands out. Irritable and difficulty concentrating. So you might be having a conversation with this person, but then they start getting a bit frustrated what you're saying, and lose track of what you're saying, or they just they just don't want to talk to you at all. Things like that. Social withdrawal, I guess, if you're going, like I mentioned earlier, if you're struggling with anxiety, chances are you're not going to necessarily want to be around people, because people possibly make that situation worse and make you feel worse. You might need lots of reassurance, or a person who is experiencing it may start asking you for help, or just simply to confirm basic things, like they might ask you, like, for instance, does this look all right? Do these clothes fit? And might, in a way that is not normal. I hate using that word, but it's out of the ordinary, in the sense that people are asking, they might ask you several times, they might constantly be looking at the mirror and things like that. Some things that you might notice on a sort of more micro level are things like sweating, heartbeat. You may not necessarily see that, but if someone's got a strong heartbeat and got a tight top on, you might see the heart sort of pounding out the chest. You might be able to potentially even see the pulse on the neck or the wrist or wherever, in some quite common places. They may be trembling and shaking, again with no real potential reason as to why they're doing that. Shortness of breath, lack of energy, muscle aches because that tension, if they just feel like on edge. You know, it's like when you're on edge, you know, might be on, like sometimes when you're watching like a movie, you know, sometimes like when I'm watching a strongman competition or a lifting competition, and you just tense up, and then you only realise that you've been tensing up after they've done the lift, and then just relax. But imagine like being like that all the time. So yeah, look out for that. Dry mouth, feeling sick, headaches, and panic attacks. Again, you probably know when someone's having a panic attack because their behaviour is erratic and, you know, uncontrollable. They just need someone I guess, to be there, and just to reassure them and help them to relax and calm down. Maybe take them away from a crowd if there's a crowd near them. So here's a bit of advice on how you can help someone who's getting anxiety specifically. This goes for majority of mental health first aid. Provide that person with the opportunity to talk, and then if they don't open up straight away, just try and give them sort of like an open question. Try maybe be slightly prepared for that. Initiate that conversation with them. Just so you can start talking about about yourself, because again, we all have our experience worries. So maybe you can start explaining something that you was worried about, and then maybe how you was able to fix that. And then maybe ask them, are you worried about something? Do you need help with something? Can I help you with something? What's worrying you? You think about that sort of question that might match that particular scenario. Sometimes it might not be 100% the best place and time to do that. So you should pick a place. You should find a place where you can both be comfortable and not be disturbed, and without any distractions. So if that person's having an anxiety attack or something along those lines, and you happen to be in that person's house and the kids are about, if they have a partner, you could maybe ask them, can we do you want to go for a walk or something like that. If you're at work, again, if you're in an office, just maybe ask your managers on, or just tell them to need to go for a walk. Because these things happen anywhere and at any time. So it pays to be vigilant. It pays to always be patient with people. Encourage them to breathe. Like breathing is a key one. Reassure them. Like I mentioned before, reassurance is key, and I'm asking you to lie to people. But what I am suggesting is that you keep it simple, and use positive words. I can't remember what it was now. I was looking at, I think it might have been my book that I'm always banging on about, The Chimp Paradox, which you should read if you haven't read it, and read it again. I've read it about 3 or 4 times, but it said in the book that the difference between should and could are when you use the word should, it kind of puts doubt in your mind, and it also has a negative effect on how you sort of put that through to someone. So you're saying, oh, you should have done this, you should have done that. So let's say, for example, you're thinking about an exam that you did, you think, oh, I should have done better. then you're looking at yourself like that's as good as it gets for you. But then if you take it this way, if you said I could do better or could have done better, that instantly makes you, it even sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds better. I could do better. And if you're saying that to somebody and someone said, yeah, you probably could, but you know that with whatever little tweak here and there, you will do better. Whereas you should do better. It's cast doubt, whereas could. So again, I'm just giving you some examples of, positive words, framing phrases in a positive way can help make somebody's day. It's like that one. But yeah, that's what it's all about. We have to look out for each other, and some of us aren't necessarily the best communicators. That's something that I'm working on. But it's not easy. But if you have a set of tools, just a little toolbox, and you can build that little toolbox of little things that can help people, and they tend to go hand in hand with a lot of these ailments and that. So also as well, getting them to find some help, especially if this is something that is really getting them down and you're worried about them, getting them to access some help, depending on, maybe you look at some self-help strategies, and then get them and be accountable with them, and ring them and just check up on them and to see how things are going with that. And because ultimately, it's not easy. It's not easy being a person who is picking it up. It's not, especially if you love that person or you care for that person. There's a lot of it's like amazing it which way do you go, how do you deal with it. Best thing to do for you yourself is to be calm. Take your time, slow your thoughts down, slow your voice down, match theirs as well. That's a key one. In customer service, they call it the dance. So, if you like, and if the music's on, you have to dance to that beat. Especially if you're dancing with a partner, you've got to dance to the beat. If you start dancing at a different tempo, like you've got headphones in and they're listening to something else, and while you listen to something else, then you're going to start clashing. So you've got to dance to the beat and keep the tempo, keep the pace. So yeah, like I mentioned to you earlier, CBT, antidepressants, and things like applied relaxation, meditation is good. So try those out. If you're really struggling and you need to speak with anybody about something like that, I'm an advocate of Minds Matter. They're a really good organisation to help with anything to do with depression and mental health, anxiety, and lots of other things, PTSD. So if you need them, contact them. They can help. If you'd like to enroll on the self-improvement course that I've written up, then get in contact about that. What I do with that is we have a chat about whatever it is that's worrying you, 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever, and we just try and drill down into one particular thing, and then each week we come up with a strategy, and then each week we look back at that and see if the strategy is working, if it's helping, and then sort of alleviate that. So yeah, get in contact with me if you're interested in that. It can be done. It doesn't have to be face to face, although it can be. Can be done online. Can be done over a phone call. Can be done over Zoom, video call, whatever. But that's that's a genuine thing where you'll have a regular weekly check-in. There's a daily check-in and also a weekly one where we'll go over that. And I'm keen to help as many people as I can with that. So riddle time. So if you made it this far, then thank you very much for listening. I know I'll go on a little bit sometimes, but it's a talking thing, isn't it? So if I'm not talking, then What's the point? Now, so I'm going to go through the riddle now. I don't know if you, last time I did this, I think I did that one. I think I've done 4 now, so I think this is the one that I would have been on. So when I am released to the wind, you look away and you pretend, but away your friends I will send. What am I? Now, if you didn't get that, then you stink, because it's a fart. It's a fart. So this week's riddle, so you can either meditate on this or you can just put it in the comments, whatever. So this one is, what English word has 3 consecutive double letters? Answer in the comments. So like and subscribe, guys. I say thank you very much for joining me, and remember, you are loved, you are needed, and what's the last one? You're not alone. It's been a while. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done one. And also keep smiling and keep grinding, because you, whatever it is, if you haven't figured it out yet, you are needed on this earth for a purpose. So go out there, find it. Yeah. And like I said, if you need any help, or if I can help you in one way or another, then get in touch. Reach out to someone. Check in with your friends. Sometimes just a quick text message. You might even just save the text message, right? Save the text message and put it in, I don't know. They'll just copy it each time. Just send the same text message. Hi mate, just checking in. How are you doing? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Simple as that. So copy it, paste it, send it to 5 of your friends. And that's it. If we all, imagine if we had 5 people, and then another 5 people did the same thing, and that mean, and just kept spreading it on, and then, or maybe a message. Make sure you send this to 5 people. Make sure to reply. If they haven't replied, check on them. Make sure they're okay. Let's do a better job of looking after each other. You know, because we've all we've got. Okay, guys. Well, it's only 2 in the morning, so it is Monday. But this is the time I could get it in. I had a couple of issues in the house I had to sort out with one of the kids. But you know, I've got to find time to do this. This is a passion of mine. Wouldn't do it otherwise. Okay, guys. Thank you for watching. See you soon.